Okay, so one of the problems that we ran into at work is depending on the way that you install Docker, you may or may not run into a difference in where the file system lives on the host. Nothing pisses off end users like having file systems that end up in two different places. So basically, depending on how you install Docker, you may end up with all of the Docker files in a different location on the host. For example, this is Ubuntu. We're going to go ahead and sudo apt update. Little tidbit there, that one command will update all of these package repositories and upgrade all of the packages that need upgraded. I recommend doing this, well, at least a sudo apt update. I recommend doing that before trying to install Docker. So we're going to install it in two different ways. The first way that we're going to do it is through snap, and the second way that we're going to do it is using the apt package manager. And once these updates are complete, we can go ahead and try installing snap. One thing that we can cover while we're waiting, Snap is a package manager that has a whole bunch of different options. You can go to snapcraft.io and there's a whole list of things that you can install. One of them, when you go to install Snap on Ubuntu for the first time, it will have the option for you to try to install the Snap Hello World. And we'll go ahead and demonstrate this when the progress finally hits 100%. I really should have updated Ubuntu before I started shooting this video, but I kind of wanted to show from beginning to end, installing Docker in both ways and kind of going through the heartaches of being a live user. Because there's always questions that come up when I'm watching video tutorials online. You go to start installing a piece of software or configuring it, and the YouTuber that has put up the information or the website owner that has put up the knowledge base article, they tend to skip over things that they assume are just common sense. And a lot of times, common sense to one person is only common sense because they've been a professional for, a decade. I've been working in Linux for years. Oh, it looks like Docker's already installed. We might as well automatically restart the Docker daemon. Okay, so that's interesting. I must have installed Docker. I'm gonna have to uninstall it because I want it to install to the default directory. And I probably installed it in my home folder, if I had to guess. Okay, and this is saying that a system update needs to happen before we can move on, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, now that we're rebooted, go ahead and log in. Oh, whoops, you weren't supposed to see that yet. Oh, I didn't keep my settings. If you need to increase the font size in your terminal, typically Control-Shift+ will increase the size of it. Let's go ahead and make it full screen. We'll make it a little bit bigger. And we need to check to see if Snap is installed. So the best way to do that is to type snap version. All right, so Snap is installed, and typically, especially nowadays, you're going to be installing the snapd. Docker ps, permission denied, sudo docker ps. Okay, so we don't have anything running right now. Currently, I honestly don't think I have anything installed on here. So what are we going to do next? We are going to sudo apt remove docker and docker. I don't think Docker Compose is installed. Okay, so if we clear the screen, let's go ahead and cd to etc. Oh, I still see Docker there. Sudo snap sudo snap help. That actually is not helpful. Oh, remove. Okay, sudo snap remove Docker. Docker's not installed. Okay. I'm just going to ignore that Etsy still has this Docker folder, Docker directory in here. It may be because I haven't restarted the computer, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to do a sudo snap install Docker compose. I don't know if Snap will do both at the same time. Error store.snap not found with 2 snaps. Okay, sudo snap install Docker. Okay, so it's going to download it from the stable channel. And the first thing we'll do once it's downloaded and installed is we will check to see where in the file structure Snap placed all of the information in the host. So when I refer to the host, this is an Ubuntu virtual machine. It acts as its own machine, as if it's running off of actual hardware. So the file system is going to be the same as if I just installed Ubuntu on a regular computer. I'm running it off of a virtual machine because currently for work I have to have Windows installed, and there are some times where I end up having to remote in from home. Okay, so Docker is installed. So what we'll do is we will actually change directories to var, and we'll do an ls. Actually, we can do an ls. Oh, did I name it a user whoopsie? Oh, excuse me. Oh, crash and metrics. So that's not my user. That's cool to know. Okay, so snap exists in there. So we will cd into snap. And then you can see there's a Docker folder there. That wasn't there before. So if I cd into Docker, and then cd into common, and then cd into var lib docker. So, okay, so if you ever need to gain root access, sudo space su will take you to the root account. If you have a password set for your root account, it'll ask you for the password before it allows you to elevate. This is just a virtual machine that I can blow away at any time, so I've just left it without a password. Okay, so we want to cd into var lib docker, and if you start typing, so see how there's hooks, profile reloaded, run, and var lib docker inside of this common directory. If you start typing, once you've exceeded the amount of characters that would match something else, so let's say there's run and then there's running. Once you've typed RUNN, you can push tab and it'll actually finish typing out the only available option left over. But if there's two things inside that start with the same, so let's say it's run and running, you can double tap tab and it'll show you the two options that start with, if you type RUN and then hit double tab, it'll show you run and running. Anyway, we have cd'd in. Let's list short. And here is where all of your stuff lives. So if you have containers, you will be able to cd into containers. Oh, you can see? Okay, so container. I pushed tab and it finished all the way to container, but it had a question. Do you want container D or containers? So it didn't actually finish it for me. So if I push the up arrow and add an S, it should take us into containers. ls, there are no containers. Okay. Let's see if we can fast. You know what? I should do this on screen. All right, we'll bring this up and let's go to Google so I don't have to look at a hairy chested dude on the freaking page. All right. Simple Docker project. Okay, Google, don't fail me. Quick Docker install. I'm not finding anything. It's just going to be super easy. Okay, what do I use? Let's go to Uptime Kuma. We'll go to the GitHub page. Uptime Kuma is actually pretty cool. Let's see if I can catch this in time. So you can have a live demo. You can come in here and look at all the stuff that it'll do. Oh, here we go. Look at that. That's exactly what I wanted. Let's copy this. All right, so a live demo. And since they gave us this super easy command to run, let's go ahead and look at this and give them a shout out. Admin, continue. It's got to be at least 6 characters, so admin 1. Cool. Add new monitor. We'll go to google.com. This is just going to check and see if google.com is up for us, and if it isn't, friendly name Google. Cool. So now it's pinging Google and it's checking to see if it's up. This comes in handy for all kinds of IT people and people that want to monitor things at home. You would set up Uptime Kuma as a Docker, you start to run it, and you can add a whole bunch of monitors to decide if your smart TV is still running. Or if you've got smart appliances, like we've got a water heater, if it goes offline, then we know the power's probably out. Yeah, anyway, Uptime Kuma is pretty cool. So we will give an example of spinning up Uptime Kuma. Please go away, thank you. Paste. And I want to make sure that I don't have, yeah, I did have a space at the beginning. Okay, so it says unable to find the image locally. So it's downloading all of the things that it needs, and it's going to, running Docker run like this is only going to apply the settings that you have here in this. Let's see, I don't think I have Sublime Text downloaded, do I? I don't. I guess we'll use Kate. Okay, so let's go over this. You're telling Docker to run. I forget what -d does, but I think it means... I'll have to look it up. You're telling it that you want this specific Docker image to restart always, which I usually change this so that it restarts unless stopped, because if I stop it, I don't want it turning back on. You pick the port, which is 3001 on the host and 3001 inside of the virtualized container. You're adding a volume, so it's going to be called Uptime Kuma, and inside of the app it'll be called /app/data. So we'll see this here in a second. I'll show you where that lives. You're going to name it Uptime Kuma, and this comes in handy if you run like Portainer. You can actually see the name, or if you run that docker ps command, it'll show you Uptime Kuma. You'll kind of know which container it is and what they're talking about. And then this is on the Docker site. The package creator is Louis Lamb, and it's Uptime Kuma 1, and that's going to be the most updated version of Uptime Kuma. Okay, so it exists now. Let's cd again. Or sorry. I just did that to myself, didn't I? I guess technically you don't have to see it, but I'm going to keep it in the video because we all make mistakes. Okay, so we're going to ls. All right. This is because we didn't check a setting, but this is your container. If you do a docker ps, you will see this beginning of the container number matches the container ID. This is the image that you pulled. It's from Louis Lamb, Uptime Kuma. You can see the command that it ran. Created 2 minutes ago, up 2 minutes, which is good. It's healthy. You can change this. It's easier to do in Portainer. I actually prefer to do it in Portainer. But if you're going to ask the host, which is the computer that you're on, to see this web page, you need to go to 0000 or localhost port 3001, and it'll take you to port 3001 on the container. And then over here it tells you the name is Uptime Kuma. So let's go to Firefox and look at that real quick. And you get the same page that we got on the demo. This will be saved. There's certain things that you have to do to it to make it permanent. Currently it's saved in a temporary volume. I'll make it a whole other video on how to do Docker, but just as proof of concept, there it is, it lives. We have created our first Docker container. Okay, so now we understand that var snap docker common var lib docker is where Docker is installed to, where everything inside of Docker is saved on the host. So if we cd dot dot. So we go back to the varlib docker, we ls, and then we cd into the volumes tab. If I can spell it right. The volumes directory. We'll ls, and there's information in there now. And there's our uptime kuma. So if you cd into uptime kuma, this is what the volume is set up with. So you've got your kuma.db, kuma.db.shm, db.wall or -wall, screenshots, upload, docker TLS, all that stuff. None of this matters. You don't need to know any of it unless you want to get deeper into Docker. But I guess that's why I'm making this video, is for those of you that want to be able to find files like this and be able to change stuff inside of it. I don't know why you would directly change the DB file, but some of these have config.yamls that you can come in and make changes to. This is where all that stuff lives. Okay, so, oh yeah, dot dot. You have to put a space in there. So we want to docker ps. We're going to check. We're going to grab this container name. If I can grab it, there we go. And then sudo, we don't have to sudo because we're root, docker, kill, container name. All right, and then it just echoes back that that's the container it killed. All right, so we're gonna remove, hard to type and talk at the same time. Maybe I'm just dumb. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to docker remove, no, we want to snap remove docker. And now we're going to install Docker the normal way, I guess is the way that I would put it. Native package manager for Ubuntu is apt. So once Docker's installed up here, we're actually going to restart the computer, and then we're going to check the directory before we start working in it to make sure that it didn't somehow build both directories. But what we're looking for is, I believe it's just var docker common, and then I don't think there's a var lib docker. I could be wrong, but we're looking right here. So this is where all of the folders and directories and files live when Docker's installed via snap. Okay, we're gonna reboot. And yes, I'm using Hyper-V. It was a test to see if I could get it running the right way on Windows 11, and I did so. All right, make this bigger. I will one day change this so it just automatically goes big. Okay, so we need to cd into var. And so snap is still there. We'll check that. Snap. Okay, so there's no snap docker, good. And there is no oh, duh, I CD'd I CD'd out of the var. So let's go back into var and ls again, and we're looking for docker. It does not exist, so we will do sudo. Actually, let's cd to the root directory. Let's go ahead and sudo su so we can get back up to root. And then let's sudo apt install docker and docker compose, because I know apt can handle both of them at the same time. That was quick. Okay, so let's cd into var. That's not a real directory. I must be tired Oh, cd into off. Oh, did it install? It installed Docker. No, it didn't install Docker on the root folder. Where did it install Docker? Huh. Okay, bear with me for a second. See, this is why I had to make this video, because I couldn't figure it out. I had to go replace a YAML file that we couldn't find, because when we had one of our containers upgrade using Watchtower, it recreated the volume. So it created a volume and replaced the one that was currently there, which made the volume empty. Let's see. So, all right. If you can't remember a command for something, Google's usually the place to go. We'll go ask Google, find Docker grep. How to grep Docker log. That might actually show us. I just don't remember what. Okay. Grep command example. Geeks for geeks. Let's see it. Oh, what was -I? Ignores the case. Okay. All right, so let's grep. I mean, case shouldn't matter. It's going to be lowercase Docker. It's just how Linux likes to do things. But we're looking in. I don't want to look in root. We'll look in var. I think this is how you do it. Grep var. Oh, that was to look for. Use grep to find directory. Oh. Find path. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reading this right now. Find. Let's try dot. What did it say was next? Dash name. Dot must be through the entire computer. Dash name, and then was it quotes? Single quotes. Folder base name. Oh, with an asterisk. You can have an asterisk after it. So we're looking for Docker. Let's just try that. Oh, var lib docker. Okay. Look at me being an idiot. I knew that. So we're gonna cd into var lib ls. There is a Docker directory right here. Cd into Docker. And then we should see almost the exact same layout. So yeah, you have containers, ls. There's nothing there yet. You can cd into volumes. Oh, cd ... cd volumes. Yeah, so I think that stuff was already there for the other stuff too. So let's go ahead and run that command again. Oh wait, can't. Time. Kuma. Docker. Oh duh, I saw it. Okay. So we will run it again. Remove that trailing return and we'll hit home. Remove that first space, hit enter. It's unable to find the image because we uninstalled Docker. So it no longer exists in the snap folder. And we'll go through the same process. It'll download and install. And we'll be able to check these file folders. And we'll be able to compare them to what we saw before. And this is the most confusing thing about some of about using Docker is there's not a uniform way of installing everything. So let's see, ls for volumes. There's uptime Kuma, cd uptime Kuma, and we see data, cd into data. And there's all of the same stuff, the 3dbs, screenshots, uploads, Docker TLS. I'm curious to see what's in Docker TLS. Nothing. So that's in case you want to turn TLS on, I guess. Tell me if I'm an idiot. Screenshots. This is how comfortable I am with Linux. I know I can't screw this up too bad. Let's go ahead and cat kuma.db and just see if it returns anything. Kuma.db. Okay, yeah. So you can see what the database looks like. It's not a very good rendition of it, but it does show you what's already in there. There's really probably not a whole lot set yet. Let's see. Oh, there's heartbeat. Boolean not null default 1. I'm curious to see if we set a user, if that would change. Okay, we'll have to do some testing on Uptime Kuma. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap up the video. We've probably been at it for long enough. I'm just going to clear the screen. So, let's take... right here. And we'll get Kate, which I'm not a huge fan of. And then what was it? Var. Hopefully we have memory. Okay, so this is the biggest difference right here. If you use apt to install Docker, this is where all of your files are going to live. And if you install via snap, by default, this is where all of your files are going to live. It took us like probably a day of just pounding our head against the wall trying to find stuff. We even installed, because we use command line, we don't use we don't typically use a graphical interface for a Ubuntu server. It took us a long time to go through this stuff. We ended up installing File Browser, which is another Docker container. It just gives a graphical interface for you to look at the directories and files that are inside of Linux. But yeah, hopefully this was insightful. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, do all those things. And until next time, peace.